My name is Sophia Rose, 32 years old, and a former resident judge of the National Pastry Championship. My tongue is worth $3 million not on an insurance policy, but as the industry's valuation of my judgment. I can taste a mere half gram of extra gelatin in a mousse, or tell the exact ratio of brown to white sugar in a caramel. Every score I write on my card can make a pastry chef famous overnight, or ruin 3 years of their hard work. My husband is Lucas West, 35, a pastry chef. He transitioned into pastry making 3 years ago. His talent is mediocre, but he works incredibly hard. His shop opened the year we got married. He named it For You, said it was all for me. I always believed he truly loved me. This year, Lucas made it to the finals. Competing against him was another chef, Ella Wang, 28, specializing in molecular gastronomy. She used to be my assistant. I mentored her. On the eve of the finals, Lucas was practicing in the kitchen until dawn. I tasted it for him, offering 13 corrections. The core temperature of his lava cake was wrong, the crust was overbaked, and the center didn't flow.
The ratio of butter to chocolate needs adjustment. The cocoa butter content is too high, it will be too cloying.
He jotted down every single note in his little notebook, then kissed me.
Sophia, without you, I can't win.
I believed him. I didn't just believe. I poured my entire self into his victory. After he fell asleep, I sat in the kitchen, staring at those marked recipe sheets. I felt an indescribable peace. I helped him, he succeeded, and that was the meaning of marriage. When I turned off the light, my lips were curved in a smile. The finals were on Saturday. I sat at the judges' table, flanked by 2 other judges, Pierre, an old Frenchman, and Helen, a food critic. Lucas and Ella's creations were presented one after another. Lucas's dish was a chocolate lava cake, adjusted from my own recipe. I closed my eyes for the first bite. The lava's temperature was perfect, the bitterness of cocoa and the sweetness of cream clashing on my tongue before reconciling. I gave a fair score, 8.5, not the highest, but enough to put him in the lead. Ella's dish was a deconstructed tiramisu. She used liquid nitrogen to freeze the mascarpone into foam, with ladyfingers as brittle as glass. The creativity was striking, but on the palate, the foam melted too quickly, losing its layers. I gave her a 7.9. There was no hesitation when I scored it, because I am a professional. In all my years as a judge, I've never let personal relationships cloud my judgment. Lucas knew my principles. He never complained. The competition ended, and Lucas took the championship. When he went up to accept the award, he looked at me, his eyes overflowing with gratitude. I thought it was love. The next day, the storm arrived. When I woke up, my phone was blowing up with messages. Someone posted anonymously on social media, claiming I took Lucas's money and favored him in the scoring. The post attached a bank transfer screenshot. $50,000. Transfer from Lucas. Recipient my own name. But I had never even opened that card. I rubbed my eyes, thinking it was an illusion. I checked the bank records and found someone had used my identity to open the account. Who did it? The answer was right in front of me, but I refused to think about it. I walked into the kitchen with my phone. Lucas was brewing coffee.
What is this?
I don't know.
You don't know? The transfer is under your name.
Sophia, someone probably hacked my account.
He didn't look at me, continuing to pour the coffee. It overflowed the cup, but he didn't stop. I watched the brown liquid overflow the rim, dripping onto the marble countertop. 1 drop, 2 drops. He didn't wipe it. He panicked. The post went viral instantly.
I felt the judging was unfair. Judge Sophia has been biased against me since before the competition.
She listed several so-called proofs that I criticized her work too harshly during the training camp, and that I frowned at her tiramisu during the finals. Those weren't biases at all. Her almond crust was too thick. I said it looked like it was wearing a winter coat. Her foam was unstable. I said it looked like dish soap. That was my job, not targeting her. But the internet doesn't care about the truth. They need a story. The story is a greedy judge helping her husband cheat, crushing an innocent female contestant. Sitting on the couch, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Every single notification was an insult from a stranger. You cheater. You ruined the competition. Do you even deserve to be a judge? I read them one by one, like counting knives stabbing into me. Lucas sat opposite me, also staring at his phone.
Aren't you going to say something?
Say what? Anything we say now will just get us dragged.
He was
Kind of
right.
bond.
But I didn't need him to be right. I needed him to say, "It's not like that. I'm going to help you." He didn't. In just one single day, my social media was flooded with tens of thousands of hateful comments. Someone leaked my home address and posted screenshots in the comments, calling for protests at my door. I locked the doors, pulled the curtains tight, and sat in the dark. The glow of my phone screen was my only light. Lucas answered a phone call and walked out onto the balcony. I couldn't make out what he was saying, but he was gesturing wildly.
Sophia, the competition organizers are holding a meeting. They might suspend you.
And what did you say?
I said I knew nothing about the money transfer. That maybe it was a setup? But competing as your husband, there is indeed a conflict of interest.
So you're going to tell them that I was wrong?
I didn't say you were wrong. I'm just saying. You would have mum wife on thing that is simply a fact.
Facts. When those two words came out of his mouth, they felt like a blunt knife. It couldn't slice through my skin, but it ground against it. Slow and agonizing. I didn't eat that night. Not because I wasn't hungry, but because my stomach was filled with why. Her voice sounded like it was coming through a pane of glass.
Sophia, we need time. You appearing in public right now isn't good for the competition.
So you're going to sack us, maybe?
We just need you to stay quiet for now.
What about Lucas? He competed. That's not a violation?
He voluntarily offered to forfeit the prize money and donate the trophy to charity. We felt that showed good faith.
Good faith. His good faith was bought with my reputation. I hung up the phone and sat on the edge of the bed. He didn't come in. Maybe he didn't know what to say. Or maybe he knew and didn't want to. Then I remembered something when he offered to give up the prize. Did he even ask me? Did he even think that prize was earned with the recipe we stayed up all night fixing? No, he decided alone. I wasn't his wife. I was his business partner. He was making a deal. I was thinking it was love. The day the investigation results came out, I was in the kitchen baking a cake. Not to sell, to keep myself from going insane. My hands were covered in flour when my phone buzzed. Margaret's text, no legal action, as if I'd done something that needed to be not pursued. I put the phone down and kept kneading. The dough was hard, my hands ached, but I couldn't stop. Because if I stopped, I'd think about it. These hands rewrote dozens of his recipes, wrote over 100 suggestions, and all I got in return was no legal action. Lucas came home very late that night. When he walked in, I was sitting in the living room, no lights on.
Sophia? Why are you sitting in the dark?
I'm thinking about something.
Thinking about what?
Think about...
The transfer screenshots, the fake account. How long did you and she plan this together?
See, I never meant that to react. Just wanted to win.
Just wanted to win. Winning mattered more than a wife, more than 7 years together, more than every single "let me help you" I ever said. I didn't get a divorce, not because I forgave him because it wasn't time yet. I moved to the guest room. Lucas didn't stop me. He just stood in the hallway, watching me carry my pillow and blankets past.
Sophia, are you really leaving?
I'm not leaving. I just don't want to sleep in the same bed as you.
Then when are you coming back?
When are you going to tell the truth?
I slid down the door to the floor, holding the pillow. The pillow still smelled like him aftershave, and a trace of smoke. He wasn't a smoker, but he'd been smoking a lot lately, I could tell. My nose can tell the brand of cigarette smoke, but I couldn't tell when he stopped loving me. The industry started picking sides. My name vanished from the judge's page on the competition website. A few partner brands sent termination emails, their wording polite but ice cold. Due to recent events, we've decided to suspend our partnership. I replied with, I understand, then deleted the contact. My most trusted assistant editor pulled my upcoming food column, saying the editor-in-chief felt the timing wasn't right. Timing. When is the right timing? When everyone has forgotten that I was framed. My pastry shop, Sen's, had been open for 5 years with a solid reputation. But ever since the scandal broke, foot traffic dropped by 70%.
We only sold 3 cakes today.
Who bought them?
2 were regulars. 1 came just to see what all the fuss was about.
The curious visitor took a photo and posted it online, captioned, "This is the shop. The owner is that crooked judge." I zoomed in on that photo and saw my own face reflected in the shop window glass. That face was calm, but only I know beneath the calm lies shattered glass on the floor. One night, I pulled out the old photo album. When Lucas and I first met, he was an apprentice at a little bakery.
Try it. It's burnt, I know, but the inside is still soft.
I laughed. The laughter was real back then, and so was the softness in my heart.
I'm going to make you the happiest woman in the world.
I flipped further. On our wedding day, his hands trembled as he slipped the ring on my finger.
For you. I opened it for you.
Further still, on the day his shop opened, he cut the first slice and fed it to me. For you, he said. I opened it for you. Further still, nothing. Because in the later photos, his smile wasn't for me anymore. He smiled at trophies, at cameras, at Ella. And I was outside the frame. I closed the album and put it in the deepest drawer. Not thrown away, just not ready to see it yet. I remembered something my grandmother once said. The scariest thing isn't losing something. It's losing it and not even knowing. I know now. I know too well. I started investigating on my own. I found the original of that transfer screenshot and discovered signs of Photoshop. The date had been altered, and the font of the amount didn't match the bank system. I also traced the IP address of the anonymous post it led to Lucas's studio. I knew the studio's Wi-Fi password. It was my birthday. I sat in front of the computer, staring at the screen, my hands trembling. Not from the cold, from confirmation confirming that the person who slept beside me had driven a knife into my back with his own hands. And when he pulled the knife out, he twisted the handle, making it cut even deeper. I didn't call the police, not because I didn't want to, because it wasn't time yet. What I want isn't for him to go to jail. It's for him to walk into the pit he dug himself, just like he walked into my life, took my trust, and then turned away. I want him to turn around and discover that everything behind him is empty. Not just me, his conscience is empty too.
Sophia, what do you even want?
I want the truth.
The truth is, I love you. I love you more than anything. Please believe me.
Our future? You had me blacklisted from the industry. Was that for our future? You fabricated that transfer screenshot with her? Was that for our future? You let tens of thousands of people attack me. Was that for our future?
You don't understand. I did it to win. After winning, we would have had a better life.
A better life? Better life? You didn't need to hostile me.
What do you want me to do? Admit it publicly? Then I'm ruined.
My shop is ruined. We're ruined.
We were ruined a long time ago. Not today. It was the moment you made that decision.
I stopped talking to Lucas. Not a cold war, there was simply nothing left to say. He said he loved me, but his love was tying us together and dragging us both down. I didn't want that kind of love. I'd rather float up alone. During that time, I spent my days at my dessert shop and my nights writing in the guest room. I wrote draft after draft of plans: reopen, a shop, rebrand, move to a different city. But every plan had the same problem. I was still the judge who was framed. No matter where I ran, that name would follow me because I had never clarified. Not because I didn't want to, because no one would listen. The competition had reached its verdict, the industry had sentenced me, and I didn't even have the chance to appeal. Then I figured it out. If no one would listen to me, I'd find a place and let the cake speak for me. I needed a place, not the old shop, but the self I became after being blacklisted. I rented a small storefront in an old neighborhood on the east side of the city, $800 a month. It used to be a flower shop, a few dying pothos plants were still there.
You're that judge who was framed?
The landlord was an old woman. She asked what I was going to open. I said a dessert shop. She looked at my face. She was silent for a moment.
100 off the rent. Good luck.
I bought a secondhand food truck. The white paint had scratches, so I bought a bucket of white paint and recoated it. The sign was handwritten by me, Sophia's review stand. Below it, a line in small text, only one cake.
Just one type? Can you even make money? I don't know. But I don't need money. I need to be seen.
I spent 3 whole days tweaking this recipe. Chocolate sponge layered with sour cherry jam, topped with a white chocolate ganache. The sour cherry jam is boiled from fresh cherries. No sugar, sharp and direct. I cut the sweetness of the white chocolate, let it battle with the sourness. First sweet, then sour. In the end, they refuse to yield to one another on your tongue. That's what it feels like to be framed. You think it's sweet, but you bite in and realize sour is the only truth. But the real trap is at the bottom. I bought edible sticky rice paper and used food coloring pens to print words on it. The first batch of 300 sheets. I wrote them one by one. I was framed. Each sheet took over 10 seconds. Writing 300 took hours. My hand was sore, but my heart was steady. They were crooked, the ink uneven, just like me back then. A mess, but real. Because with every word I wrote, I was telling myself, this isn't a delusion. This is reality. Opening day, nobody came. I sat in the truck watching the empty sidewalk. A few people passed, glanced at the sign, and kept walking. I told myself, first day, that's normal. The next day, an old woman came. She was wearing a gray coat with graying hair and walked very slowly.
You're that judge they wrongly accused?
I said yes. She bought a piece of cake and sat on a bench to eat it. I watched her take a bite, chew slowly. Then I turned the cake over and saw the rice paper on its bottom.
I was framed.
Her voice wasn't loud, but I heard every word. She stood up, shuffled over to the food cart, neatly folded the sheet of rice paper, and slipped it into her pocket.
My husband once accused me of stealing his. They found it under the couch later. He never apologized, but I knew he was wrong.
She left. I stood behind the truck, my eyes burning. Not from sadness, because for the first time, someone was telling me, I believe you. On the third day, the old woman came back this time with her daughter. The daughter also bought a cake. She also saw that line of words. She took out her phone and took a photo.
Do you mind if I post this online?
Go ahead.
Aren't you afraid more people will find out about your scandal? That's not a scandal, that's the truth. And the truth isn't afraid of being known.
That evening, the photo showed up on social media. The caption read, I bought a cake from a street cart. Hidden under the bottom was a message. This woman says she was framed. I don't know the truth, but her cake was amazing. It garnered few likes, yet the wheels had already been set in motion. Much like a seed buried beneath the earth, Its sprouting goes unseen, but its roots have already begun to strike downward. A week later, there was a line out the door, not for the cake, for that rice paper. People were posting photos on social media, every single one of that rice paper, saying, "I was framed." Someone wrote, "I was framed by my boss too." Another, "My ex framed me." And one, "I don't know if she's telling the truth, but her chocolate cake is the best I've ever had." The topic started trending. Number Judge Me Innocent appeared. The first time I saw that hashtag, my hands were shaking. Not from fear because someone was speaking up for me. I don't know them, and they don't know me, but they pushed my hashtag up because everyone has a story about being wronged. They understand. The media came to interview me. I stood behind the food cart, wearing a white apron, with my hair slightly disheveled.
Why did you hide messages in the cakes?
Because I needed to be seen. Not as the judge who took bribes, as someone who's still standing.
When it aired on TV, they cut the second half. But I didn't care, because what matters is, people started asking, did she really take the bribe? Lucas saw the news. He came to her cart wearing a baseball cap.
谢谢.
She recognized him at a glance because he bites his lips when he's nervous.
Sophia, do you know what you're doing? You're blowing this up.
I'm not doing anything. I'm just selling cakes.
You're implying you were wronged.
I'm not implying. I said it outright.
You wanted to destroy me?
The red in his eyes wasn't bloodshot, it was fear.
Taste it. You've had this recipe. Remember? The chocolate lava cake you used in the finals. I helped you tune it. The butter to chocolate ratio was mine. The flowing center temperature was mine. The recipe you used was mine.
He took the cake, didn't eat it. His hands were shaking.
Lucas, I didn't destroy you. You destroyed yourself. I just didn't cover for you.
She watched his back. The boy who once brought out burnt croissants from the bakery was gone. What stood there was a stranger. Some people come to your stand not to buy cake. They come to let you know they've arrived.
Sophia, do you really think this is fun? Ella, the mascarpone to yolk ratio in your tiramisu recipe is this, 75 to 25. I taught you that at training camp. What you call self-developed, I taught you, hand by hand.
The color drained from her face, not from the wind, from the truth. The moment the sunglasses went back on, she was no longer here to fight. She became someone running away. The clicking of her heels faded, like a metronome losing its rhythm, every step precise on the way in, every step a retreat on the way out. That night, the video hit the internet. The comment section boiled over. People started doubting her. Someone asked a simple question: if she's really innocent, why can't she say more in front of the camera? She didn't reply to any comments. She turned off the phone. Tomorrow, she'd still be selling cakes. The organizers reopened the investigation, not out of conscience, out of pressure. Her hashtag was trending. The media started digging into the truth behind the transfer screenshot. A tech blogger analyzed the image, confirmed it was photoshopped. Someone traced the anonymous post's IP address it linked back to Lucas's studio. Ella's social media was turned inside out. Someone found multiple private messages between her and Lucas during the competition, intimate in tone. One of them, from Ella. "She won't find out, right?" Lucas replied, "No. She trusts me." He typed, "She trusts me," not to Ella, to himself, like confirming his own victory. She put the phone face down on the counter. Some words only need to be read once. Reading them again won't change the answer.
Sophia, there's a new development in the investigation. We'd like you to come back.
Come back to do what?
Reinstatement. As a judge.
I don't need reinstatement. What I need is for you to publicly acknowledge that I was wrongfully accused.
We will issue a statement.
When?
She said today. One word, but long enough to cover all the silence before it. Sophia hung up and put the phone in her pocket. She hadn't won. She just no longer needed anyone to announce that she had. The statement was released. Formal wording. No mention of Lucas. No mention of Ella. But it was enough because her rice paper had already said everything. Then Lucas's message arrived.
Are you satisfied?
She stared at those 3 words. He didn't say sorry. He didn't apologize. He asked, "Are you satisfied?" As if this were a war. She won, he lost. He never once asked, "Did it hurt?" He didn't reply. His shop for you closed after the scandal broke. The sign was still up, weathered by wind and sun. The letter F had half fallen off. It now read, "Or you." People passing by would look up at those letters, wondering who you was. Maybe it was her. Maybe it was Ella. Maybe it was himself. He probably didn't know either. The whole thing about Lucas and Ella has been completely exposed. It wasn't me who spilled it. It was dug up by netizens. Some people found photos of them coming and going from the hotel during the competition. Some dug up the flirty posts Ella had liked, and then unliked. Someone even screenshot the chat, where Lucas messaged Ella late at night saying he couldn't sleep. Ella posted a statement saying she and Lucas were just ordinary friends, but no one believed it. The competition canceled all of Ella's rankings, and she gradually faded out of the dessert scene. Lucas posted a long message on social media, admitting he handled personal feelings poorly, but denying conspiring against me. He blamed it on a third-party hacker, saying the transfer screenshots were done by the hacker. Nobody believes it. The most liked comment was, "You can't even admit to getting divorced, and you expect us to believe you?" I read that long post. No comments, no shares. He's still lying. But his lies don't need me to expose them anymore. He's turned himself into a joke. The divorce paperwork is done. I hired a lawyer, but Lucas didn't hire one. He sat alone on the other side of the negotiation table, not looking me in the eye. When it came time to sign, his hand paused for a moment.
Sophia, do you hate me?
I don't hate you. But I don't wish you well.
He signed. We walked out of the law firm, and the sun was shining. He went left, I went right. No looking back. Not because I was being cool, but because I didn't want to see that face again. But after walking 10 steps, I paused. The wind blew by, carrying the smell of the bakery. I took a deep breath and kept walking. That night, I went back to my apartment, the new one, not in the old neighborhood. I deleted all of Lucas's photos from my phone. When I got to the last one, it was our hands together, making chocolate shapes. The photo was from when his shop had just opened. I had chocolate on my hands, and so did he. I deleted it. Then I cried. Not because I missed him, but because I could finally cry. My street stall has turned into a permanent shop. It's not the original sensory. I closed that one because it got polluted by that marriage. Every wall there had seen Lucas and me working late into the night, and every chair had been sat in by him. I sold it. The new shop is called Wronged, and it's set up at the spot where that food truck first stopped. The shop isn't big, only about 20 seats, and it sells just one type of cake, the Judge Wronged cake. But there are a few more flavors: chocolate, lemon, red velvet. What hasn't changed is the glutinous rice paper at the bottom, with the words, "I got been screwed," printed on the bottom of each piece of cake. On the first day of opening, there was a long line at the door. After buying a piece of cake, I didn't eat it, and instead flipped it over to look at the words on the bottom. Then he said to the cake, "I believe you." His voice wasn't loud, but I heard it, and I was really touched. Margaret called again, inviting me to go back as a judge. I declined.
I now have my own judging booth. On the food truck.
Sophia, you have the best taste I've ever seen.
Then why didn't you stand up for me back then?
Because I had no proof. I was afraid.
I was afraid too. But I was more afraid that if I did nothing, I'd spend the rest of my life being that bribed judge.
Dia, would you consider coming back to the competition?
If you reform it, completely separate the judges from the contestants, and require family members to register in advance to participate.
The next year, the competition added a new rule. All judges had to declare any family relationships with contestants before the contest. That rule is called the Sophia Clause in the industry. I didn't go to be a judge, but they etched my name on the first page of the rules, not because I won, but because they lost. The champion of the dessert competition that year was a young girl, 23 years old, who ran her own small shop. When she accepted the award, she said, "I want to thank Sophia. Not because of her judging card, but because of her cake stall." At my lowest point, I went to her stall and bought a wronged by judges cake. Seeing I was blackballed at the bottom, I cried. The next day, I went back to keep making desserts. Now, I am standing here. Watching this on television, I burst into tears. Not because I was moved, but because I felt held. My "I was blackballed" had caught someone else's "I haven't given up yet." I picked up my phone and sent her a private message. "You deserve it." She replied, "So do you." The Unjust Grievance dessert shop became a viral internet check-in spot. Tourists, food bloggers, the heartbroken, people defeated by work, and even folks coming to offer apologies all flocked here. One day, I spotted a slip of paper taped to the glass front door with clear packing tape. It read, "Sophia, I'm sorry. I hurled insults at you in the comment section before. I believe you now. I was wrong." There was no signature. I taped it up behind the checkout counter, right alongside the edible rice paper sheets.
Aren't you worried it looks ugly?
I said, "Whether it looks good or not, doesn't matter."
My shop assistant asked if I worried it would look unsightly. I told her looks don't matter. What counts is that this note reminds me. People can change. After Ella stepped away from the dessert industry, she opened a flower shop. She once sent me a bouquet with a note that read simply, "I'm sorry, nothing more." They were white roses, and the shop's name was printed on the wrapping paper. I looked it up, a tiny little florist on the outskirts of town. I suspected she was struggling to get by. I put the flowers in a vase at my shop and changed the water every single day. Once they wilted, I pressed the petals between the pages of my books and stowed the card away in a drawer. This was not forgiveness. I just no longer wished to hold resentment. To hate someone means carrying their memory with you, and I no longer wanted to waste time dwelling on her. Instead, I devote my mind to memorizing recipes, crafting cakes, and remembering every person who stood before my stall and told me, "I believe in you." Lucas left our city for good without a single goodbye. Some people swore he'd packed everything and moved down south to start a brand new life, while others claimed he'd completely abandoned his former line of work. Still, I never bothered to dig up the real story behind his departure. His profile picture never changed an inch, still carrying that gentle "For You" logo. One random day, a complete stranger reached out to me with an unexpected private message, bluntly telling me, "Your ex-husband sells insurance for a living now." I stared at those words on the screen for a moment, yet I decided to leave the message on read and never write back. Not satisfied with my silence, the stranger sent another question right away. "Don't you ever stop to wonder how he's getting on with his life these days?" I fell into a short, quiet pause to collect my thoughts, then typed out a soft but firm reply. The path his life takes has absolutely nothing to do with the sweet cakes I bake every day. Our lives split long ago, and we don't belong in each other's worlds anymore. I wrote a book called The Evaluation Card. It's not a memoir, but a pastry guide. On the dedication page, it reads, "To all those who were wronged, your evaluation card is in your own hands." At the signing, there was a woman who had been waiting in line for a very long time. When her turn came, she pulled out a piece of plastic-wrapped cake. It was dry and dark, with a faded rice paper at the bottom. That was from my opening day. Written by my own hand, the ink was smudged, but the words remained.
This is the cake from your opening day. My mom bought it for me. She said, no matter what they say, you have to believe in yourself.
He held her hand.
Is your mother doing well now? She passed away last year. But she had your cake before she left.
She said, this girl is extraordinary.
My eyes welled up. I wrote down a sentence on the dedication page. I wrote a line on the flyleaf. For your mother. She's far more remarkable than me. Lucas's bakery went bankrupt. Not because he couldn't bake, but because nobody came to buy. His past was like a plaster, stuck on the sign, unable to be peeled off. I heard he left the industry and went to work on a factory assembly line. He never contacted me again. And I didn't contact him, either. Our story still resurfaces on social media from time to time. Some say that female judge's ex-husband is complete trash, while others say she is living her best life now. Occasionally, someone tags me, asking, "Do you still hate him?" I never reply. Because I don't hate him. I just don't need him anymore. Hating and no longer needing are two entirely different things. I stood on the TEDx stage, speaking about the morality of baking. Over 1,000 people sat in the dark. I wore a simple white shirt, my hair loose, completely without makeup.
15 years of baking. And I've learned one single thing. Making a good cake and being a decent human being share the exact same standard. No cutting corners, no deceiving the palate, and no putting bad things where eyes can't see. You can cheat the judges, the scorecards, and the crowd, but you can never cheat the person eating the cake, because they eat the cake, but they taste your conscience.
I suddenly remembered that night, writing on rice paper in the back of my old food truck. No stage lights, just one desk lamp. I wrote page after page, my hand aching, my back sore. Now, 1,000 people are applauding. They have no idea what those handwritten sheets looked like. But I know. I remember every single one. My shop opened branches, the second one in the west of the city, the third in the neighboring town. It's not a franchise chain. Each shop has its own personality. The one in the west sells the slandered series different flavors for different degrees of being wronged. Lemon is for the workplace, dark chocolate for relationships, and caramel for friendship. There was a regular who came 3 times a week, always buying the same one dark chocolate. She never spoke, just pointed at that little piece of black. It represented the deepest betrayal.
That former colleague who slandered me has resigned. Can I switch to lemon now?
I said, yes, you can.
She bought a lemon-flavored one, took a bite, and burst into tears.
Finally. It's not bitter anymore.
I stood behind the counter, watching him cry. I didn't hand her a tissue, because I knew she didn't need comfort. What she needed was acceptance. Acknowledge that you've made it through. Today is my 40th birthday. I'm sitting in my own dessert shop, alone. The streetlights outside are on, and pedestrians are hurrying past. The staff have gone home, and the last table of guests has left. I cut myself a slice of cake red velvet, no glutinous rice paper at the bottom. Because today, I don't need I was framed. What I need today is I'm doing fine. My phone vibrated. A message from an unknown number. Sophia, happy birthday. I don't know if you'll see this, but I wanted to say it anyway. I'm sorry. No signature. But I knew who it was. Only one person would use this tone at a time like this. I stared at it for 3 seconds, then put my phone down. No reply. Not because the wrong he did is in the past, but because when he apologized, I no longer needed it. The wind chime at the door rang. A young girl pushed the door open, holding a bag.
Aunt Sophia, I brought you a gift.
I opened it. Inside was a cake, not from our shop, but homemade by her, crooked, with uneven frosting. Written on top in chocolate sauce were a few words, "Thank you for your I was framed cake. I found my I stood up moment." I cut a slice and put it in my mouth. Sweet. Very sweet. Not because there was too much sugar, but because it tasted like someone trying hard to survive. My name is Sophia Rose, 42 years old, pastry chef, shop owner, writer. I am no longer the wrong judge. I am the one who makes the wronged cakes. My scorecards don't write scores. They write, what you taste is the truth. The cake will be eaten, the glutinous rice paper will melt. But the truth that has been seen will never disappear.